Redefining resilience, the power of self definition when others try to write your story. Have you ever noticed how the world seems obsessed with telling you who you are, how to speak, how to dress, how to dream, how to succeed? As if there's some universal template for existence that we're all supposed to fit into. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Shayne Jefferson, a visionary whose work in empowering Black entrepreneurs has transformed countless lives across the country. Shayne doesn't just build businesses, she builds people who build legacies. Her groundbreaking approach to mentorship has created economic opportunities in communities that traditional investors have overlooked for decades. What struck me most about our conversation wasn't just the practical wisdom Shane shared, but the profound emotional intelligence that infused every insight. Shane's commitment to helping others define themselves rather than be defined by external limitations has created ripples of change that continue to expand outward, touching communities that have historically been pushed to the margins. Through our conversation, I discovered something that changed everything for me. The most resilient people aren't those who never fall, they're the ones who refuse to let anyone else tell them when they can get back up. Think about that for a moment. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about deciding who gets to write your story. For Black women, especially, this isn't just philosophical, it's survival. Every day, we navigate spaces where the narratives about us have been written without our consent, where our ambition is labeled as aggression, where our confidence is misread as arrogance, where our very presence is sometimes treated as an intrusion. But what if the true measure of resilience isn't how well we weather these storms, but how boldly we rewrite the forecast? Sheila Johnson understood this better than most. As co founder of BET and the first Black woman in America to reach a net worth over $1 billion, she knew what it meant to build something groundbreaking. But her most profound demonstration of resilience came after her divorce, when she lost not just her marriage, but her position at the company she had helped create. Can you imagine that? Building something revolutionary, something that changed how Black culture was represented in media, and then suddenly finding yourself on the outside looking in. Many would have retreated. Some might have defined themselves by that loss. But Johnson, she looked at a blank canvas and saw possibility, not emptiness. She pivoted boldly into new industries: sports ownership, hospitality, film production. She became the only African American woman with ownership stakes in three professional sports franchises. When the world tried to write her off as the ex wife of, she responded by becoming something entirely new, something entirely her own. Her mantra: don't let anyone else define you. You define yourself. Those words aren't just inspirational wall art, they're a radical act of self preservation in a world that's constantly trying to put you in a box with a neat little label. But here's what Shane Jefferson helped me understand through our conversation: this kind of resilience isn't just about individual grit, it's also about community lift. None of us redefine ourselves in isolation. Behind every woman who stands in her power is a circle that helped her find her footing when the ground was shaking. Take Kendra Anderson. When she launched Caviar Dream, she didn't just become America's first nationally distributed caviar brand owned by a Black woman. She deliberately disrupted the very notion of luxury itself. The luxury food market has traditionally been one of the most exclusive, most deliberately inaccessible spaces in our economy. It's built on the premise that some experiences are meant only for some people. That exclusivity is what gives these products their value. But Anderson flipped that script entirely. She started hosting tastings in underserved communities. She created experiences where people who had been told this isn't for you could discover that actually, yes, it absolutely is. This wasn't just smart business, though it certainly was that. It was a profound act of community resilience. By creating space where people could experience luxury without apology, she wasn't just selling caviar. She was selling the radical notion that pleasure and refinement belong to everyone. That's what community fueled resilience looks like. It's not just about helping each other weather storms, it's about building new shelters together, ones with room for everyone. But perhaps the most powerful lesson about resilience comes from Janice Bryant Howroyd, whose story should be required learning for anyone who's ever been told to shrink themselves to fit someone else's expectations. Raised in segregated North Carolina as one of 11 children, Howroyd faced teachers who told her that Blacks were well suited for slavery. Let that sink in for a moment. Imagine being a child and having an authority figure tell you that your destiny was servitude, that your highest purpose was to be owned. Many would have internalized that message. Some would have let it define their ambitions, their sense of possibility. Howroy did something else entirely. She used it as fuel. She entered the staffing industry, a field with few women and even fewer people of color in leadership positions, and built AC1 Group from the ground up. Today, it's the largest minority woman owned employment agency in the country, serving Fortune 500 clients globally. She became the first Black woman to own a $1 billion company. The first. Let that resonate for a moment. But what's most remarkable about Howroyd's journey isn't just what she built, it's how she built it. She never compromised her identity, never code switched to make others comfortable, never diluted her vision to fit into someone else's idea of success, never compromise who you are personally to become who you wish to be professionally, she says. That's integrity. That's the kind of resilience that doesn't just survive systems of oppression, it transforms them. Through my conversation with Shayne Jefferson, these stories took on new dimensions. Shayne emphasized that these women weren't exceptional because they never faced doubt or fear. They were exceptional because they refused to let those emotions have the final word. They acknowledged the reality of their challenges without allowing those challenges to become their identity. Now I can almost hear what some of you are thinking. That's inspiring and all, but those are billionaires. Their resilience paid off in ways mine probably never will. I get it. I really do. When we're in the trenches of our daily struggles, dealing with microaggressions at work, stretching budgets that won't stretch, caring for everyone but ourselves, billionaire success stories can feel distant, even alienating. But here's what matters: these women weren't born knowing they would succeed on that scale. They faced moments just like yours, moments when continuing seemed harder than quitting, when the voices saying no were louder than the ones saying keep going. The difference wasn't that they had some magical immunity to doubt. The difference was that they practiced resilience as a daily discipline. They chose again and again to define themselves rather than be defined. And that choice is available to all of us. It's available when you walk into a meeting and someone mistakes you for the assistant instead of the executive. It's available when you pitch an idea and watch it be ignored, only to be celebrated when a white colleague repeats it 5 minutes later. It's available when you're told your natural hair is unprofessional, or your voice is too loud, or your ambitions are unrealistic. In each of these moments, you have a choice. You can accept the definition being handed to you, or you can write your own. This isn't toxic positivity. I'm not suggesting you can just positive think your way out of systemic oppression or structural inequality. Those are real and they require collective action to dismantle. But what Shayne Jefferson helped me understand is that while we're fighting those larger battles, we still get to decide who we are within them. We get to choose whether we see ourselves as victims of circumstances or authors of our own stories, even when those stories include chapters we didn't choose. That's what real resilience looks like, not the absence of pain, but the presence of agency within it. So here's my challenge to you this week: identify one area where others' expectations have limited you or where fear has held you back. Then take one bold step forward anyway. Maybe it's applying for funding you've convinced yourself you won't get. Maybe it's pitching your idea to someone new. Maybe it's simply showing up as your full, authentic self in a space where you've been code switching to survive. Whatever it is, remember that every act of self definition strengthens not just your resilience, but our collective resilience too. When you refuse to be defined by limitations, you create more space for others to do the same. As the poet Audre Lorde reminds us, when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid. Your resilience isn't just about you, it's about all of us. It's about creating a world where we all get to write our own definitions of success, of beauty, of worth. The world will always try to tell you who you are. Your power lies in deciding whether to listen. Define yourself. The rest will follow. But remember this: when you stand firmly in your self definition, you become dangerous to systems designed to keep you small. You become a walking revolution, a living testament to what's possible when we refuse to be contained by others' limited imagination. So go ahead, be dangerous, be resilient, be exactly who you choose to be, not who the world tried to make you. Because the most powerful revolution begins with two simple words: I am. And only you get to finish that sentence.